Hey there YouTube, hey there fans. This is Daniel, back again for another video. This time I'll be focusing on the placement Venus in the sign of Gemini. So what happens exactly when Venus, the planet of love, planet of our heart's desire, planet of everything that we hold dear, what happens when she falls under the sway of the twins? Well, a lot of interesting things happen. So Venus, being the planet that is associated with what we love, how we love, and who we love, when she's aligned with the persona, the energy, the karmic path of the twins, of Gemini, she falls under the sway of versatility, of flexibility, and of adaptability. Primarily speaking, this is a sign that promotes Venus's love of conversation, her love of wit, and her love of versatility, both within and outside of a relationship. Indeed, in all things, versatility will be a major part of the chart holder's desires, wants, needs, and anything else that brings them joy. They'll be able to use witty conversation and a certain finesse as an ability, a tool really, to attract others. They'll speak knowledgeably about a lot of things. They enjoy a wide variety of topics. They like to know a little bit about a lot of things. And so if you are somebody with this placement, you know what I'm talking about. Incidentally, for somebody to get to know somebody who has a Venus in Gemini, it's a very good thing to have a wide spectrum of knowledge about a great variety of topics. So they prefer a more stimulating relationship than a content one. They like activity. They like newness. They like things to be ever-changing. This is the nature of the twins. And so if you're somebody who, has kind of a, I'll say it on a, as for a date, a Netflix and chill, kind of understanding of what, a good date's all about, or the classic, dinner and a movie. This really will only fly for a short period of time with someone who has Venus and Gemini. This is because Venus and Gemini, they appreciate uniqueness. They appreciate novelty. And, tried and true methods of courtship generally tend to fade away very quickly from their sense of attraction. And so, if you're looking to court somebody with this kind of placement, it's a good idea to keep things fresh, keep things new. And, for some placements, this can be tiresome, and this is natural. If you're somebody who has Venus in Capricorn, for example, you're going to get tired of this, and understandably. I can speak from personal experience. So, it's a good idea that, you want to keep things new, you want to keep things fresh. They are not the deepest of Venus placements, I have to say. This is probably going to be another one of those videos where I'm going to get a couple negative comments. They're going to say, oh, you're speaking too negatively about this kind of person, or I'm not this way, or, taking into consideration, everybody is made up of so many different signs. When we take into consideration Mars, Venus, the Sun, the Moon, the rising, Jupiter, Saturn, all of that, that creates who we are. That creates the individual uniqueness of the person, along with the aspects, the asteroids, the degrees in particular, the relationship from planet to planet, stelliums. All these things come together to make the person. So when I speak about certain placements that have a reputation, that have a certain bend to them, I don't mean to characterize the people with those placements as being that way, per se. It will be the case, however, if you are somebody who has, let's say you have Venus as a dominant planet. Venus is in a very positive dignity. She conveys a lot of power, and she happens to be in Gemini. Then this will be true for that individual. But for most people, the traits are kind of a give and take thing. So keep that in mind when I move through these traits, if you will. So, as I had said, in a relationship, Venus, when she's placed in Gemini, doesn't place a whole lot of emphasis on the deeper details of the relationship. In fact, she can be thought of as being, quite shallow at times. Skipping over deeper issues and favoring a lighthearted approach. And this isn't necessarily meant to be a negative thing from the perspective of a Venus in Gemini. It's meant to be just keeping things fun, keeping things light, keeping things on the positive side. Gemini is a very, very fun orientated sign. They like to maintain a positive atmosphere, both at home and when they're out. So, it's not meant to hurt the other individual. It's simply meant to keep things from going south, or from appearing that, we're dwelling on the negative aspects of the relationship. So that's how that kind of person would view, what the other person might feel to be a sense of shallowness. As I had said, they like to keep variety. Their tastes also frequently change. They get involved with many different things, usually for a short period of time. Gemini, being a Mercury-dominated sign, has a great intellectual vibe, a great intellectual interest in many different things. And based on the other aspects of the natal chart, you may find yourself entertaining somebody, with this placement who, they want to do this, they want to do that. Their interests change with the wind. And really, this is just them trying to grasp knowledge because they have a love for knowledge. They have a thirst for it. This is where Venus shows her desire to learn about people, about things, about places, about whatever she can in the sign of Gemini. It can oftentimes be difficult to keep up with them and keep up with what they want for the other person. So if you are somebody who is in a romantic or even a friendship oriented relationship with a person with this placement, it's very understandable what you're going through, trying to keep up with all the odds and ends of what this individual is looking for. So that makes a lot of sense. I hope it makes a lot of sense at this point for you. One of the other things that a lot of people think of as being a negative thing about this placement, or if you think of, hey, this person's this way, oh look, Venus and Gemini, what do you know? Is that they do appreciate an ability to be autonomous from the relationship. They appreciate the ability to spend time with friends, hang out, have their playtime with people outside of the relationship. Anywhere from a third to half of the time that they're with somebody. And they appreciate the partner's ability to respect this. And for certain other placements, this can be rather difficult. For others, it can be a mutual benefit kind of thing. And I'll get to what signs. If you are a Venus and Gemini and you experience these issues, or if perhaps you're in a relationship with a Venus and Gemini and you're wondering if you should continue, or if the compatibility is kind of going to run its course. I'll let you know which signs are good to go for somebody with this kind of persona. They are a natural flirt. They are, they have a way of conveying themselves to people that can seem more sincere than it's meant to. Because of the fun, youthful lightheartedness of this placement, many people can come under the impression that there's an interest there when perhaps there isn't, or perhaps the interest isn't quite as deep as the other person is thinking it is. And this is just their way. They're just a flirtatious type. So again, if you're somebody who has a sense of jealousy about you, has a sense of ownership in a relationship, going to be tough with a Venus and Gemini. Going to be very tough to nail this kind of person down. Again, they're not very sentimental. They don't have a good grasp on the need to or desire for an overage of sentimentality. They think that once you establish a intellectual bond with somebody, you have fun with them. You're You go out, you do things, life's exciting, things are great. This is kind of where the journey ends for them on an emotional level. They're not going to be the beating heart throb, chivalrous individual that other signs may appreciate. This is especially true for Venus and Gemini men. In a typical scenario, for example, if you're a female and let's say you have Venus and Cancer. I haven't done this particular placement yet, but just to give you an idea about the synastry here. If you are a Venus and Cancer female, you crave that attention. You crave that desire to be nurtured and to nurture your partner. There's a number of other signs that would fall under this general trait as well. And you're seeing a Venus in Gemini. You're seeing somebody who likes to keep things light, likes to party, likes to have a lot of people around, isn't too engaged on an intimate level, not as much as perhaps definitely as a Venus in Cancer would appreciate, as well as others. But this is the kind of interesting thing that you're going to run into, and you'll notice it very early on. You might meet this person at a party. You might meet this person at a social engagement, at a club, out and about. They're very talkative people, so they're not afraid to get to know somebody right off the bat, even if they're a stranger. Venus enjoys this in the sign of Gemini. And so you may fall head over heels for this person, from the get-go. However, you will soon find out that unless this planet is not among the dominant planets, or there are other overriding factors in the chart, you'll find that this person maintains that kind of demeanor. So, you're beyond the point of dating, you're beyond the point of, looking and seeing and deciding whether or not this person is the one you want to, focus in on. You'll discover that they keep this going, that they don't desist from flirtatious behavior. And this is something that you may wonder, hey, what's the deal? We're in a relationship now. This is supposed to be you and me. What's the problem? Many times the problem is that Venus in this position enjoys flirtation. She enjoys social activity. She enjoys keeping things lighthearted. She enjoys a versatile, fast-paced type of lifestyle, filled with intellectual and social possibilities. And so Venus here is going to disappoint Venus in other placements, particularly Venus in Cancer. So I just thought I would like to throw out that example for you, just to kind of give you an idea of the need for people with this placement, if you are this kind of person, the need for you to come into relationships with people who can understand your wants and your desires, and that it doesn't come from a bad place, that it comes from a place of really a need for constant contact and interaction with I won't say a multitude of people, but with certainly more than one person. So that's kind of simply the way that this sign moves through life, that this placement moves about. So once again, it's going to be the kind of thing where it's a childlike behavior. It's a childlike love, And if we look at Venus in Gemini in a social sense, in a social sphere, we have to imagine, as an example, almost middle school and high school relationships. If we can be particularly certain about the overall picture. So as with middle school and high school relationships, for most people, you break up with one person just as fast as you start with another person. And all of this is, very, about, who's hip, who's cool, who's what, who's the go-to person, who's got the most, social credit to their name. This is kind of how Venus and Gemini rolls, unfortunately, for the most part. I mean, I don't mean unfortunately in a bad sense, but I do mean that there is a natural draw to centers of attention, to people with, the most zeal, the most pizzazz in the social sphere. So in looking for somebody as a partner, they're going to be drawn to that person who is the center of attention. You know, that girl that goes after the quarterback on the football team, that guy that goes after, you know, the head cheerleader, you know, in a high school sense. You know, that's kind of what I'm getting at here with regard to this placement. Once again, from a purely configuration standpoint of this placement as a standalone. Other factors come into play and change things up for the individual. So this, you know, might not be the case for you or for the person that that you know of who is a Venus in Gemini. As a friend, in a friendship dynamic, this is a very, very fun placement to have as a friend. And if you are this kind of person, you know what a joy you are for your friends. They always keep up on the latest gossip. They always know what's going on with who because they do talk to so many people. And they're always, you know, got a calendar full of different events going on for the weekend and the next week and the next week and the next week. So they're a good reservoir of social information. Incidentally, if you want to know anything about anyone, get to know a Venus in Gemini, because chances are they will know just about everything about everybody within the social sphere that you operate in. They're spontaneous. They like to have that large network, that large group of friends. This is the type of placement that is going to spend a good couple hours on Facebook every day, you know, managing different relationships, learning to gossip about whoever, who's doing what, who's with who, you know, who did what last weekend, all of that kind of stuff, and maneuvering that information around in such a way that is going to create interesting situations. And by interesting situations, I mean a little bit chaotic type relationships and situations. So they do like to keep things, you know, a little bit like a soap opera for some people. You know, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, certain aspects that would fall into creating that kind of person in particular. But they do enjoy things that, you know, mix things up. You know, I mean, if John and Jane are together and they've always been together and they always will be together, and nothing ever happens between them or to them, or there's no one that intersects or, you know, creates a love triangle, or, you know, nobody's doing anything behind anyone's back, this is the kind of thing that's going to put this placement to sleep. So they like that intrigue. They like that social deviance side. There is a certain sense that, and it's been said that this is one of those placements that is prone to cheating, prone to lying, prone to being dishonest within relationships and just within themselves. And really, this isn't to say that this is a cheating sign, a cheating placement. It's very tough to label a certain placement with that kind of role, with that kind of trait. Really what it is that if there's cause for concern, if there's cause for them to feel differently about somebody at some point, then this is the type of placement, along with other mutable Venus placements, I might add, that is going to seek answers outside of the relationship, that is going to seek refuge outside of the relationship, that is going to seek options outside of the relationship. And so if presented with those opportunities, it is more likely for this placement than other placements to say, you know what, I'm in a bad state, I'm in a bad relationship, hey, you know, we got a good thing here, you know, let's see where this goes. And so there's a really in the moment kind of feeling that they have. There's very much a desire to experience life in a spontaneous, in the moment type fashion without too much regard for long-term ramifications. And really, for them, the ramifications play into the social intrigue that I had spoken about earlier. It plays into that need, that desire for a dynamic social relationship among their partners and among their friends, and just among the social scene. So for them, getting caught, or the possibility of getting caught doing something, isn't all in and of itself a terrible thing. And I say this because it creates a new dynamic. It creates a new flavor in their life. And so, there may be, I'll say fantasies, I'll say possibilities that they'll think about where they might say, hey, what if me and so got together and then, somebody else came into the mix and, this is the kind of Venus that would conjure up those kinds of ideas. And this is, perfectly within the realm of how Venus would operate, because Venus operates from a standpoint of pleasure. She operates from a standpoint of not just true love, pure love, but of passion. And so while in other signs, Venus desires one person. Venus desires romantic love. Venus desires to be with their soulmate. In Gemini, she desires, as I had said, versatility, interaction with multiple people, and this can be taken, in a multitude of ways based on the individual chart holder's characteristics and placements and configurations. So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, and it's meant to be an open-ended interpretation. So I don't mean to say that Venus here is some kind of floozy or something of that sort. It's merely meant to say that Venus here is desiring new experiences. She's desiring new environments. She's desiring an ability to come and go as she please, an ability to learn as much as she can about a lot of people. And this can mean many different things, not just what most of you are probably thinking right now. They tend to be attractive people. They tend to be people who are not too much in the spotlight per se, but they're people who are attractive to others. And this is partly because of their bright and good-natured behavior. They are a positive sign. They are a sign that likes to keep things on the light side, as I mentioned earlier. And so they're going to attract people based on this positive energy. And so that enhances their ability to speak to and be a part of many social spheres and have many friends and delve into many social occasions. And this is a benevolent cycle for this placement. This is something that they like. They're easy to spend time with. They know their way around a conversation. And if you know your way around a conversation and you enjoy conversation, this is the hallmark centerpiece of this placement. Taken together with everything else, this is the kind of placement that enjoys somebody who is versatile, as I had said, who is open, and who is dynamic in their thinking and the way that they love. And so if you are a Venus and Gemini person, it behooves you. It really is to your benefit to seek out other mutable signs. So you're talking about other Gemini Venuses, perhaps Venus in Sagittarius, a Venus in Pisces, or another Venus in Gemini, and Venus in Virgo. Forgot to mention that. Incidentally, Venus placed in other air signs is going to be beneficial as well, because other air signs within Venus will appreciate the desire for knowledge, the desire for intellectual stimulation, and they will insist upon building that aspect of the relationship. So there's a strong mutual benefit there. There's also, within other air signs, the ability to understand the need for social outings and the maintenance of friendships and the desire to be a part of the larger social sphere. So everyone, this has been my analysis of the placement Venus in Gemini. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this placement, please leave those in the comments section below. I love to answer your questions. I'm trying to keep up with them as fast as I can. Many of you are asking very, very highly intellectual questions, and I definitely love every single one of you for posting those questions. I get a great sense of satisfaction out of helping all of you with these, different things that, we may not understand on a physical level, but out there the planets are making things happen for us. They're causing things to happen to us. And generally speaking, there's a great benefit in understanding how and why they do what they do. So until next time, I will see you all later, and have a great night. Thank you. Bye-bye.